Well guys, it's finally here. The Slingshot Scout LT. I am really excited about this. I've been waiting for it for a long time. Essentially a scaled down version of the regular Scout, which is now called the Scout XT. And although there are some differences in the design, it's not exactly just scaled down. But we'll go through that in a minute here. Well, as you can see, I picked up a black one, and I got the bundle with all of the different scales. So I really liked the idea of black and orange. It wasn't a given option, so I got the bundle, but it comes with black scales, brown scales, and dark green scales. There's also a small weight that fits into the handle. So you'd put it in as you're putting the scales on. Now let's go through some of the new features. Now you can see some of these mentioned on the videos that Nathan put out. One would be the new aiming dimps on the Slingshots, which I think is great. Obviously the customized options for the scales and the weight. And I'll throw up a picture here of the Slingshot without any scales on it. Now I think what people might be interested in is seeing the size difference between the Scout XT and the Scout LT. So as you can see, hopefully, the forks are a little bit more narrow. The forks are a bit lower. The grip area is more narrow and obviously a bit shorter in the handle. Okay, another comparison that immediately comes to mind for me, because these are both designed by Mark Seljan, is the MS Hunter. Now if I was to remove the scales, you would see some more similarities with the pinky hole that is here. These are by no means the same Slingshot, but there are enough similarities that I had to hold both and compare them. The Scout LT is a little bit wider. And both feel fantastic in the hand. Another comparison, the Wasp Unifox. Again, a little bit wider than the Unifox. Quite similar though in length, as well as fork height. Now the next question that I had was, will the old Flip Clip X work on this Slingshot? The answer is yes, but because the hole is not centered like the new Flip Clip X, you will find that when you put it on, it'll just slightly overhang the top of the fork or the side of the fork, depending on which orientation you are putting it on. But if you already have the original Flip Clip X, it will work. You can put bands on it and you can shoot it. It's just not as perfect as the new ones. Will it work with the original plastic flip clips? The answer is no, it won't. And the reason for that is the hole that goes through the frame is now a different diameter. No longer will the plastic actually fit through that. So unless you heavily modify the clip by removing the post and using some sort of maybe blind rivet nut, say maybe an M4 size or something like that, and another screw to go through this, that's the only way I can think of that you can make those work. But it's probably doable. I may even try one day. An additional benefit for the new flip clips, Flip Clip X, is that due to the thickness of the frame, you now get all of the threads of the machine screw that goes all the way through. In the previous iteration, there was a little bit less of the threads that would bite into the Flip Clip X, and they worked fine, but this gives you the full length of the actual clip attachment for the screw to go through. Now, how comfortable is it? With all of these rounded edges, smoothed over, a nice matte finish on this, this is extremely comfortable for me. I'm a solid pinch grip guy, and it is very, very comfortable. The forks are nice and low, so when you're drawing back, there's almost no resistance at all. Whether or not you have the palm swell on or off almost doesn't matter as far as like the security in your hand. As long as you have a finger around the waist of the Slingshot, it's not going anywhere. So I haven't quite decided what I prefer yet. I've done it both ways, where with the scale on and off, and it's great either way. So if you think that that adds too much bulk, take it off, and you'll probably enjoy it that way as well. Now, for those of you that are on the forums and on Facebook, you will regularly see the question, what slingshot should I start with? I'm a new slingshot enthusiast and I don't know where to start. And one of the primary ones that are recommended is the Scout. Now, the Scout XT. It is still a fantastic frame. Nothing about that has changed. I would still recommend it. I would still have people try that as a first slingshot. Will the new one replace it eventually as the recommended slingshot to go to for a first timer? Maybe. It just might. It is really, really comfortable, really pocketable, very simple to use. The Flip Clip X, there's nothing you really need to know ahead of time because you can just alternate through the fork and over the top. You can customize the scales to whatever you want or not have them at all. There's a lot of benefits to that, including the aiming dimp. I could see it replacing it as the primary recommendation one day. One caution would just be for a brand new shooter, the forks are a little bit more narrow than the XT. Okay, which, as we all know, we were all there one time, new shooters are a little bit more prone to having bad pouch release and fork hits. So having a slightly wider gap is kind of a nice idea. Build up confidence with a larger frame and then move smaller. Final thoughts. Well, if you've made it this far, I think it's pretty obvious what I think. It's fantastic. With all of the features packed into this slingshot, you really can't go wrong. Head on over to simpleshot.com. The link is in the description below. Pick up the Scout LT.